This is Take Flights with Mark Whittle.
Welcome to the Take Flight podcast.
Thank you for having me on, mate. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Thank you for having me. So we're in your gym.
Yeah.
What's BFG stand for?
So it started out as I used to run a commercial gym before this, and it was Be Fitter Gym. Mm-hmm. But then we opened up, and someone was like, "Oh, it's a really good name you got. It stands for Big Friendly Giant," because I'm quite a big dude in CrossFit. And I was like, "Oh no, yeah, it doesn't stand for that, but I actually really like that." So Big Friendly Giant.
So you've changed it to that. Yeah. I love it. I did
it was
think
originally
that.
Be Fitter Gym.
Okay.
But I think Big Friendly Giant sounds a little bit better.
I like it.
Yeah, it suits me a bit.
I think it does suit you a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were chatting earlier about the coincidence. So we were supposed to do this, I think it was a week or 2 weeks ago.
Last week I think it was.
Last week.
Yeah.
And the day after, I'd had a full day in London, and I was walking up the stairs in King's Cross probably at about 8:30, something like that. And I just saw this massive person at the top of the escalators. I was like, no, it can't be, can it? And yeah, just the coincidence
it's
of meeting
mad.
you.
Like, obviously, you were supposed to do the podcast via a new app that I've not used before, so I was getting it ready on my phone, but it didn't work with my phone. I was actually sitting in here, and I was like, I don't have my laptop on me. Like, I can't get onto this podcast. So I felt really bad, so we had to reschedule. And then, the next day, just popped up, and you in King's Cross and mental. Like, London's such a big place, and like, what are the odds of like the timing and mad. So,
I sometimes have to look at those things and be like, that happened for a reason. I don't know what, whether it just meant that you had to beast me in the session in the gym now or not, I don't know. But I suppose it's led to me coming to see you at the gym and training with you and getting more of an insight into CrossFit and what you do generally, which is better.
Yeah, because I think that was your first CrossFit session, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah, and how did you find it?
It was tough. It was tough.
They always sound a lot easier on the board or on paper, don't they, the workouts, but then when you actually do them.
Literally, so it was 50 cals on the bike, you were on the ski erg.
Yeah.
And then what are those, so you were doing?
So we did handstand walks. So our workout was 50 cal ski erg, 100 for handstand walk, 3 rounds for time. So the stimulus for that is just trying to fatigue your shoulders and triceps on the ski erg, and then having to maintain like fast pace in the handstand walk. And then you were doing like a scaled version of a handstand walk. We don't actually have a name for it, but you put your feet on like a mat that slides on the floor, and then you keep your position nice and solid, core nice and tight, and then you basically pull yourself along the floor. So you did 50 cal bike and then 100 foot of that exercise, 3 rounds.
Yeah.
At the end, you finish as fast as possible.
Yeah. But like I said, you look on the board and it doesn't seem, I was like, that's going to be tough, but it doesn't. I actually said to you jokingly, you were like, and then we'll all come over and cheer you on and get you to hurry up. And I was like, I might finish first, mate. Like, part of me was like, I could finish first here. You just looked at me like, all right, mate.
Yeah, we have a lot of people who come to train me. One of my good friends, Ashley, he came down the first time to train me, and it was a 10-round workout. And it was 4 dumbbell thrusters, I think it was 4 burpees, and then I did 4 muscle-ups, he did 4 pull-ups, so it's 10 rounds. So obviously, because I've done this for a long time, you know a 10-round workout is won or lost in like probably the round 5 to 8. So he started, this is the first time we met each other, this was probably about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, and he went out so hot, and he was ahead of me in the first 2 rounds. And I was like, he's gone out way too hot. He's going to absolutely die at the end of this. And then I didn't know, but in his head, he was like, oh my God, I'm beating the fittest man in the UK. I'm so good at CrossFit. Because he's a professional footballer, so it's Ashley Williams. So he just retired.
Oh, the Welsh
Cup, yeah, just retired. So he's getting into a bit of CrossFit now. And he was like, oh, I'm going to smash this CrossFit. Like, this is easy. And then by like round 5, it was like struggling to get the dumbbells up. And you have a lot of people who come in like they just don't know how to pace. And or they look at the workout and say, oh, that looks quite easy. But then when you actually do it, it's really tough.
Yeah, we'll get more into probably the CrossFit, like what makes a good CrossFitter. But I came in here with a bit of confidence. I just did a physiological testing and metabolic testing at a place called The Edge with a guy called Scott Robinson, who's amazing, works with loads of athletes, footballers, boxers. And part of it was VO2 max. Okay. And although I've not been, as I was telling you, I've not been like proper on my training because I've got a 11-month-old who's slightly distracting. I got a pretty good score on the VO2 max. I was like, okay, like I got.
What did you test it on? What piece of kit?
It was on the runner.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So I got like, I think it was 53.
Oh, nice.
So
that's good.
Yeah. So I was like, I'll be all right. But mate, immediately on the bike and one round on that 100-foot, like whatever you call them, the slides, my chest was just like...
Yeah, it's very like, within CrossFit you've got so many different aspects of fitness. So you've got workouts where it's just pure like cardiovascular, that it might be a 5k run you have to do. But then the workout we did then, it's a mixture of fitness but then muscular endurance. So obviously your chest and triceps are just fatiguing because not used to that sort of lactate build-up. So yeah, it's a very different like sport. You can't really come from many of the sports and be fit. Like you can't be a fit footballer and then expect to be really good at CrossFit because it's so different. But that's why it's such an interesting sport.
Yeah, no, it's class, mate. I love it. So, what is a typical week if we kind of said what you're doing day to day?
Yeah.
You're obviously training loads, but what's the schedule like for you?
So it kind of changes depending from a peak season. At the minute, because I sustained an injury about 2 months ago, it kind of put me out of the game season for this year. So we kind of allowed a little bit more work to come in because I had a bit more free time. So at the minute, we kind of train at the gym 10:30 till about 12 like we did this morning. And that'll be every day, Monday to Saturday. And then I'll get home. I have about 14 online clients that I work with. And I don't like to take too many on because it just gets a bit hectic if you're trying to like watch everyone's movement constantly. It just gets too much. So 40 is like my limit. So I'll program for them, which might take me like an hour and a half when I get back. Do any sort of podcasts or any sort of calls I have with different brands or sponsors. And then I'll get back to the gym for 5 o'clock, train 5 till 7:30. Do a bit of mobility till about 8 and then get back, have dinner, and then pretty much do that and repeat every single day.
Wow. So is it always 2 sessions a day?
Always 2 sessions a day, yeah, except for Sunday. I'll have a rest on Sunday.
So you do nothing on Sunday?
No, just like go for a walk with my girlfriend or go for a walk with the dog or just chill out. Just spend a lot of time like recovering. And with CrossFit, and because I've done it for so long, you always have niggles somewhere. So if one week I'm feeling particularly tight in my knee or my hip, then I'll try and like mobilise and work on that area on a Sunday. Just try and make my body feel as fresh as it can for the rest of the week. And then yeah, it's lots of like social media brand work. So I might go and do a few photo shoots for My Protein or go and do it for Noco or so it's very busy weeks, and I'll never really, each day is like very rarely exactly the same, just because I'll have different podcasts with different people and like I said, go and do different social media work. So it's a nice mix of different things.
So you're essentially, it sounds like a professional athlete, a PT, a business owner, an influencer. Which of those do you identify with the most, do you think?
So like I said, because we're injured now, we kind of I'm still training hard, but we know it's an off season where it's a time where I can really focus on like the business side of things and work with brands a little bit more and try and do as much for them as possible so they're happy. Because CrossFit's an amazing sport, but it's nothing like football or rugby, or you can't really just rely on being paid from CrossFit. Unless you go to the games and you get top 3, you're not really getting much money out of it. So I think I've always really focused on the business side and the brand side, social media side, because that's how it can allow us to still train and make a decent income and not have to worry about getting other jobs or not have to worry about money and things like that. So that's a really important side that I've always really tried to focus on throughout my whole career. And when I'm in peak season, so say if I qualify for the games this year like I did last year, I'd probably be saying no to a lot of stuff because I want to go train, go home, chill out, have a nap, go train again. I don't really want to do anything else apart from training for the games. So with the injury this year, and this is a lot of things that I say in my book, like you try and use setbacks and try and use them as a positive situation. So me being injured this year was really gutting because obviously I was out there at the game season. With the CrossFit, you've got to be fit for a certain period. It's not like you have loads and loads of chances to qualify for the games. You have the Open, which is over 3 weeks at the start of the year. And then you had the quarterfinals, which is over a weekend. So if you're not fit on that weekend, then you're out. Or if you're ill for that weekend, then you're out. And obviously that was devastating. And last year I qualified for the games and then couldn't go due to COVID. So this year is the year I really wanted to make a big push and like kind of redemption from last year. And obviously got injured, so I sat down with my team. I was like, right, this is a big like negative thing to happen, to get injured through this early in the stage of the season, but let's use it and turn it into a positive and really focus on a lot of work and a lot of stuff that I wouldn't have done if I was still competing for the games. So we've already done lots of other work with brands and lots of other work with podcasts and just building my brand and my social media that we wouldn't have done if I was still competing. So just trying to turn that negative into a positive situation, try and get the best out of it, really.
It's such an important philosophy to have, isn't it? I think it's a commonality with anyone who's achieving something special, is that you have the ability to flip it and not even see it as a negative. It's just,
it's just what happened. Like injury is part of an athlete's career, isn't it? It's just the timing of it was just really bad, and coming off the back of last year, and cause it took me 7 years to qualify for the games, and then finally got there, and then COVID hit, and obviously they only took, I don't know if you know much about the CrossFit scenario, but they only took 5 athletes in the end.
Oh, I thought it was only 5.
Yeah, so originally last year CrossFit changed a lot. Like the sport changes just crazy amounts. So last year and the year before, you could be national champ. That's what I won. So I won the UK's Fittest title in 2020.
And what was that? That meant, as far as CrossFit, you were the winner of CrossFit.
Yeah,
in the
so
UK.
I was the best in the UK. So UK's number 1. and last year it was a 5-week open process. So CrossFit would release a workout at the beginning of the week. Oh no, sorry, Thursday. And then we would have Friday till Monday to complete that workout and then send it off. So basically you're in the gym, in my own gym, you'd film it. So it's always a stressful time because you've got 3 people filming in case one phone dies or something happens with that phone. And the workouts are so painful because you literally send it as hard as you can because obviously it matters so much. And you can repeat that workout as many times over those 4 days. So if I got a really good score on the Friday, I'd always repeat it on the Monday, just try and beat my score. Because literally in the Open, I think worldwide there's probably about 250,000 people that entered. In the UK, I think there was about 18,000 people that entered. So if you got 2 extra reps, that could jump you up like ridiculous amounts of places. So literally every rep counts in the Open because there's so many people involved. So you do that workout, you send it off. No one knows what anyone else has got until the leaderboard's final on the Monday, and then you can see where you're placed, and then you basically repeat that for 5 weeks. So then the next Thursday you'll have workout 2, you'll have Friday to Monday to do it, next work you'll have workout 3, and if you come first in one workout you get 1 point. If you came 50,000 you got 50,000 points. So realistically to win the UK Open you can't really drop out like the kind of top 20, I'd say. You've got to be up there consistently, so you can't have any sort of weak areas. And it's a very stressful 5 weeks because you're constantly leaderboard checking, you're trying to see where you're placing, you're nervous about the workouts that are going to come up, you don't really want to do any training in the week because you don't want to be tired for the Open. So it's always like a funny joke, when you start the Open, that's when I'm peaking for, and at the end of the 5 weeks I'm always more unfit than I was at the start because all I'm doing is literally 1 workout a week, or I'm repeating it twice, and then the rest of the time I'm just trying to do as minimum as possible to staying fresh. And it's a pretty amazing atmosphere because like literally everyone in the gym, like we'd had like 50 people in there, like all screaming, and like the last workout, I think I was 1 point ahead of second place, who was Elliot, and the last workout it was ring muscle-ups, wall balls, and it ended with an 80-calorie row. So I think I can't remember exact workout. You could split up however you wanted. But I did a format where you did, I think it was like 6 ring muscle ups, 15 wall balls, repeated that 8 times, something like that. And then I finished on the row, and I had an 80-calorie row to finish. So literally there's a picture we've all got in the gym. There's like 40 people are like standing around my rower, just screaming at me. And I'm just like absolutely pelted, like you did 50 calories today on the row. Yeah. So 80 calories at the end of the workout when like it means so much. Like this was me getting to the games. And it gives me goosebumps to think about it because there's so many people literally just like you can't describe how loud people are screaming. And I'm there just in the row, like pulling it as hard as I possibly can. And I'll try and show the video if I can. And such an amazing atmosphere.
Love to see the video.
And then finished the 80 cal and it just collapsed and fell off the rower because just like spent everything I got. And then I was there in the evening with my girlfriend, remember, just like constantly refreshing the leaderboard because Elliot and all the top UK guys would put their scores in last minute because they don't want to see what I've got on it, and vice versa. So if I put my workout score in on the Friday, they're going to know what to aim for. So literally like everyone's putting it in like the last minute, and then I put my score in, and then then I was 1 point ahead, so I was the UK's fittest and then got to the game. So it's a very stressful 5 weeks, and then for it to be taken away due to COVID, I kind of took the mindset like a lot of people were losing jobs, a lot of people losing their lives. So me not getting to the games wasn't really the end of the world. It wasn't like, I still had great health, I still got my family around me. So again, I just used it as a positive and wrote a book and tried to do as much as I could in that scenario, really.
Yeah, it's outstanding, mate, and really great to hear that process as well. I wasn't 100% familiar with like how you actually qualify. So
yeah.
It's wild, and a bit of context, what we were saying about the workout that we did this morning, the second half of that was the row and 50 cals on the row and then pull-ups 3 times around. And you don't think 50 cals sounds a lot, and you've just said there you have to do 80 cals. Like it takes a while and you're absolutely done already for everything else that you've
yeah.
done. So I can imagine that was hard going.
Yeah, and when it's like literally everything on the line. So if you don't hold that pace, you're not getting to the games, and it's just it's brutal.
Wow, mate.
Yeah,
So that's amazing context. You really set up like kind of what you're doing today.
yeah,
I thoroughly enjoyed reading the book, and I'd love to go back to your childhood, talk about your earlier years, so then we can hear a little bit about the transformation and what allowed you to make that change.
yeah.
So, I mean, if you could kind of set the story or set the scene, that'd be amazing. I know you said that your mum had a number of miscarriages, which
So my mum always wanted a big family of she wanted 6, 7, 8 kids, and I think it stems from she lost her brother at a very young age, so it was just them two. So she always wanted to be surrounded by as many people as she could. And she had my sister, who's 38, and then had 7 miscarriages, and then had me. So obviously, that's a very obviously stressful and horrible thing to happen, 7 times to have that many miscarriages. And so then I came along, and obviously it was like a miracle that she could have another child. And obviously I love my mum so much, she loved me a lot, but I think because of that many miscarriages, I couldn't do anything wrong in her eyes, or I could never look overweight, I could never be out of shape. No matter what I was, I'd be perfect. And so I was really lazy as a kid, hated any sort of activity. I loved playing sport, so if I was playing football or rugby, I enjoyed it. But if you asked me to go for a walk or go for a jog or do exercise outside of a sport environment, then I'd be like, nah, I'm good, I just want to sit and eat sweets. I was really overweight as a kid, and there's loads of memories I have of me and my mum just literally putting bags of crisps and chocolate on this tray, and we'd just go up and watch a film. We used to do it every Friday night because my dad used to go play cards, and my dad was always the strict one. He'd be like, he shouldn't be eating that many sweets, blah blah. Mum's like, no, let him do what he wants. So we'd eat just ridiculous amounts. And looking back, it's not good for your health, but there's memories that I'll never change because that's memories that I made with my mum and absolutely loved it. And so it was getting to the point where I was really self-conscious of my body. I never go to swimming lessons. I always fake an illness or something because I didn't want to take my top off and go swimming. I remember this one time when I was in the living room and I didn't know my parents had some friends coming over, and I was sitting there with my top off with my sister, mum and dad. And how the house was situated, you could see anyone coming into the drive. So I literally jumped up and just ran upstairs to get a top on, and then my dad was like, what are you doing? Just be proud of how you look. And it was a big argument because my mum was like, let him go put a top on, and they started arguing. And I remember it was a really kind of memorable moment that sticks in my mind because I was just so ashamed of how I looked. And I think after that, my dad was like, right, we need to sort this out because you can't carry on like this, otherwise you're going to be unhappy when you get into your teens and when you're an older adult.
How old were you at this point?
I was probably about 14, I'd say, 13, 14. And obviously my mum was like, no, he doesn't need to change, he's perfect, just like a mum is. And my dad sat me down and was like, right, I think he tried lots of ways to try and help me lose weight, which didn't really resonate with me. I can't even remember them. But the one that did was the PlayStation 2 just came out, and I really wanted the PS2. So he was like, right, I'll make you a deal. If we cut out some of the sweets, try and sort your diet out a little bit, do a little bit of exercise, at the end of 4 weeks, if you make a bit of progress, we'll go buy a PlayStation 2. And I was like, yeah, that's perfect, great deal. I just went and have bags of sweets every day after school. I went to McDonald's 4 or 5 times a week. And I basically just cut down the junk food I was having. Didn't really do much exercise, but when you have that much junk food, just cutting it in half, you're going to lose a little bit of weight. So at the end of the 4 or 5 weeks, I remember we measured up, we weighed, and and lost some weight, and I felt really proud about myself. I could see my stomach was going down a little bit. And I remember we went to Toys R Us, which is every kid's heaven. And went and got my PlayStation 2, bought a game, and absolutely loved it. I felt really proud of myself. And it was the first time where I felt like I set a goal and then achieved it. So it felt really good. And my dad was really proud of me. And then at that time, I still needed external things to want me to do this. So I still had to say, my dad was like, right, should we go buy another game if you carry it on? I didn't really want to do it for myself. And about a year later, we went to Anthony Robinson's seminar. I don't know if you know about Anthony Robinson. He's like a motivational speaker.
Which one did you go to?
It was one in Birmingham. I can't remember. It's like,
Was it Unleash the Power Within?
Yeah.
Oh, mate,
Have you done it?
I went like 3 years ago. Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we went.
Wow.
Did you do the hot cold walking and things like that? Yeah.
So you went when you were like 15, 16 years old?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I remember none of the family wanted to go. Like, Dad was dragging us to this seminar. I had no idea what it was. And obviously, like, I was a 15-year-old, like, Dad, why do I want to spend like my whole weekend in NEC? And he's like, no, come on, it's going to be really beneficial. You're going to love it. And obviously, you've done it yourself. It's all about motivation, just wanting more from life. And so I went there, and it was such a like big life experience, and we learned so much, and we really was like a life changer. And we came away from that seminar with me wanting to get fit for myself. I didn't need my dad to say, right, I'll get you this if you lose some weight, or I didn't need any external reward to want to do it. I just wanted to be in a healthier, better position for myself. And as a family, after that weekend, we kind of cut all the junk food out. We all did it together. And yeah, it really kind of changed the path and our thoughts on nutrition and exercise. And that was really like the big change for me to get in sort of to fitness in the fitness industry, really.
That's amazing. I got so many questions off the back of that. So it sounds like a shift from the classic external motivations here.
Yeah.
Or
internal.
extrinsic to intrinsic. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's interesting talking about that. It's one of the big realizations I've had about my journey is that a lot of it, again, was fueled from external or proving yourself or wanting material things or whatever that is, which it works. And I spoke with Victoria Pendleton about this, and she said she's still fully just proving people wrong.
Yeah.
But she's also said she still suffers with her mental health. And I think if you're you're chasing, it's like the carrot and the stick thing. Like actually, there's no stick in this scenario, but the carrot is so you're chasing this carrot, you're going for it. It's exhausting.
Yeah.
I don't feel like there's longevity in that. Whereas if you've got intrinsic,
exactly.
you're pushing yourself forward. There's nothing that you're looking at. It's just within you, and your energy is just going that way.
Yeah.
So 16 years old at Unleash the Power Within, because I had an amazing experience there. What were the things that you kind of took away? What do you remember from the week?
Yeah, there's not too much I do remember. I remember the hot cold walking, because that was obviously a massive part of it, and the whole weekend gearing you up to mentally prepare yourself to walk over these hot colds. So I definitely remember that. I remember he did a rapport side of it. So I don't know if he still does it. Obviously, it was a long time when we did it, but it's where you mirror someone else. So we sat opposite someone, and the whole idea that if you get totally in tune with the same breathing, you mimic their movements, you can kind of get off the same sort of brainwaves and frequencies. I don't know if he still does that.
Didn't do that, but I've done that in other places.
Yeah. So he did that. That's something that really sticks into my mind.
But that's interesting, because that's an uncomfortable thing to do, especially as a 16-year-old.
Exactly, yeah. But I think it had such an impact on me because I was 16 as well. It was just like a revelation of all sorts, like the possibilities are endless.
Yeah.
And it was such an amazing weekend.
I remember even basic things like every half an hour, 45 minutes, the music's blaring, and you just, at the beginning, you're forced to jump out your seat, dance around, high five people you don't know.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
And then by the end of it, because it's actually 4 days, I don't know if it was 4 days when.
It might have been, yeah. I've always just thought, I know it was Friday to Sunday, but it might have been a little bit longer. I can't remember.
Towards the end of it, I was waiting for those moments, because you just feel so energy, like literally just jumping up, moving around, dancing, high fiving, smiling at people.
Yeah.
You just like generate energy for yourself.
That's something that didn't really stick in my mind at first, but yeah, I do remember it now you mention it.
Yeah, it's just a good vibe rather than like, if your posture is stood on the tube, hunched over, miserable about going to work, then you're going to bring negative energy about you. But if you stand upright, smile at someone, high five someone, dance or whatever.
It was such an unusual start, wasn't it? Like, was not expecting it.
Especially being British. Sat in your seat like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
That's great, man. Yeah. So what have you done since then? Have you taken that kind of personal development world and made it a part of your life since the Tony Robbins thing?
So yeah, after it, we all went on a massive health kick, really got into my fitness, and it was a big transition for me at school. I think I was actually a little bit younger when I went there, actually. I think I was about, maybe 14, 15, because I went back to school, and there was a big shift for me being like the overweight kid to now being the kid who was really into his fitness, really into how he ate, didn't really have chocolate or sweets, and have fizzy drinks. And there was a big shift in how people saw me. And I remember going when I was 16, so year 11, I went to a private school, Ratcliffe College, which is about half an hour from here. They're big into their rugby, and playing for the first team was like a really big accomplishment. And that was like the people who played in the first team rugby were like the dons of the school. And very rarely did any year 11s play for the first team. So I was quite young in my year, so wasn't even 16 at the time. I was 15, and we were playing against 18-year-olds who seemed like men. And there's me and there's one other kid in our school in my year who, when we were in year 11, we played for the first team, which is like a really big achievement to do in our school. So there was a big shift from the age of 14 to 16 where, like I said, I became the kid who was the sportiest and who was the healthiest and who looked the best in shape and who went to gym in his spare time. And I love that transformation, and I went on to captain the team at the school, and I was always proud because I was always like winning the sport awards, and there was a real big shift in my life between those like couple of years, and it all stems off the back of the Anthony Robinson seminar, really.
Yeah.
So
It's the power of sport as well, though.
Yeah.
Because I always say, like, with my daughter now, like, I desperately want her to do some sort of and team sport as well.
yeah,
Because I know people talk about it all the time, but you don't really understand it unless you've lived it and experienced it. But
Yeah.
winning and losing, like the
Yeah, yeah.
basics of just experiencing that from a young age. Because if you don't do that,
you never learn how to win or lose, do you?
until you get into business, and then it probably really impacts you because
You never experienced it before.
yeah. But that's really interesting. I suppose as well, when we talk about the unleash the power within, when you're doing the firewalk, that whole build up is because you're telling yourself you can't do it.
Yeah.
You're saying I can't walk on fire.
Yeah.
That's what goes through your head. But then you do it. So then it allows you then in life, when you're thinking I can't captain the rugby team, or I can't lose this weight, or I can't whatever, you've got something to lean on to say, well, I've done something I didn't think I could do before.
Yeah.
Even if we talk about that workout just then, like, I'm not even gonna lie, there were moments when I was just like, fuck mate, just cheat on this one, just go like a little bit shorter, or you know. But the way you feel afterwards when you've done it,
it's just a self-accomplishment, isn't it? Like, you're glad you didn't drop the reps, or you're glad you didn't cheat yourself, you just did the whole thing, and then you feel really good after it. So
the process between 14 and 16, because if you were an overweight kid who was eating junk food, but then you went to the seminar and then you started going to the gym, you said you started eating healthier, was that it? Like, what were the tangible things that you changed in your life?
Like I said, as a family, we stopped all the junk food. So
everything.
Yeah. So basically, I used to have probably McDonald's, KFC, 3 to 5 times a week, every week. Every day after school, I have a full bag of Haribo, pretty much. Chocolate bars, multiple times in the week, and we literally just said no. We'll just cut it out. If you want a treat at the weekend, like maybe on a Saturday, then you can have it. But as a family, let's all do it together, which really helped. I think if you're trying to achieve something and you have a lot of people that support you around you who are on the same journey, that can make such a big difference. So I think if I came away and just did it me only, and then my sister didn't do it, my parents didn't do it, I think I would have fallen off the wagon after a couple of weeks. But because the people around you are doing it, and when you feel like you do fancy it in the week, they're like, come on, let's stick to it. Let's just wait till Saturday, then we can have something together. So we definitely cut all that out. And then just started to exercise more, started to do bodyweight exercises. So in my room, I was just doing press-ups, sit-ups, just squats, all that sort of stuff. And then when you start to see the benefits of what you're doing and seeing you're starting to get a really good shape and you're starting to like the way you look, that's like an addictive circle you've started. And then I was getting more and more into it, looking more into health and nutrition, looking more into how I can be the best rugby player that I can be, and then it just kind of a knock-on effect from there, really. At that age I wanted to be a professional rugby player, so that was like my aim at that time.
Because that's amazing advice for people who would want to change their weight, because it is just a nutritional change, it's a movement change.
Yeah, it's everything.
Yeah. But it's also in life, because if I look at the commonalities there, you've shifted your identity about who you think you are, and then it's been almost reaffirmed by the people around you, because you said people then started to see you as not the overweight kid, but the fit guy who was the captain of the rugby team, who was sporty.
Yeah.
So you kind of get that confirmation from people around you. Not that you need it, but it helps when you're trying to make a shift.
Like when you're on a journey to working towards a certain goal, when people are like confirming that you're doing the right thing, that's always a great thing to hear, isn't it? Because it just keeps you motivated.
Yeah. Yeah. So then when did CrossFit come into your life?
So I wanted to be a professional rugby player, and then I started getting a lot of ankle issues around the age of 17 to 18. And at the time I was playing for my school, I was playing for the county, and then had Tigers Academy trials as well. And basically I'm really flat-footed, and I still have issues with my ankles now, but that was a time where I just started to develop them. So if I was playing 10 games, I'd probably roll my ankle 8 of the games out of the 10.
Really?
And I was just getting just ridiculous how many times I was rolling my ankle. So at the age of 18, decided to stop playing rugby, and I didn't want to go to uni. That wasn't going to be for me. I think I'd just waste my time there. And because of my weight loss journey and where I've come from in my background, I thought the fitness industry is going to be a really good thing for me to go into, because I'm really keen about nutrition now. I love going to the gym, and I've been an overweight kid, so I know what it feels like to be overweight and then lose that weight. And so yeah, I left school, did my PT course at Loughborough College, which is around the corner, and that was a year course. And I think after about 6 months, I was already working in a gym. And I worked in that gym from the age of 18 till about 24. I absolutely loved it. Obviously, a young lad's working in gym was a great laugh. You had lots of young people that you're working with. Really busy PT. I was one of the busiest PT in the Midlands for that company by the age of about 22, and absolutely loved it. But I think because my dad's always been a really successful businessman, I've always had that businessman mentality that's been drilled into me. And a combination of doing the Anthony Robinson seminar and kind of wanting more from life and never just settling for what you've got, always try and aim for something else. I remember saying I'm going to leave the gym and just set up on my own. And I remember the gym manager at the time, he'd been there he must have been there he's still there now, probably about 18 years he's been there. And he was like, why are you leaving the gym? Like, you're the busiest PT, like, you're always stacked out, people love your classes. I was like, yeah, it's great, but the gym's taking half my cut, so what's the point? Like, I don't want to always work for someone. And he was like, oh, it's a big step kind of going on your own, like, you're not going to have any clients, and like, why do you want to take that risk? And like, deep down I was thinking, the reason you're still here is because you've never taken that risk, and I'd rather take that risk, and if it doesn't work, then like, at least say I tried. A lot of the clients, when you work with gyms, I'd kind of PT them for years, so they become really close friends. So then they're saying, oh, I don't want to give. Oh, why is the gym taking half of your money? I want you to have this money, not gym to take half the cut. So I went on my own, dropped all my hours, and just did classes from the gym, and then started up in my parents' garden, called it Fittest box because it was a really tiny box, just the shed at the top of the garden. I spent all my money. I think I had about 3,000 at the time. Spent it all on gym kit, and a lot of the clients probably had about 30 clients at that gym. I think about 5 of them followed me to my PT studio because it was about 35 minutes from the gym. So for a lot of people, it wasn't feasible for them driving that far out. So I had a couple of clients, and I remember me and Mum went leaflet dropping, and we spent the whole day, literally, we must have done hundreds of leaflet drops. Really excited, thinking, oh, I've done so many leaflet drops, I'm probably going to get like 30 calls, it's going to be really good. And I had no calls that day. I was like, oh, that's not good. And then I had one call the next day, and I remember there was a woman called Kerry, and she lived in a village. So my parents lived in a village called Turlangton. There's quite a few villages around the area, and they got one call. I said, oh, I got your leaflet. Do you want to come do some classes for us on Monday evening? And I was a bit down about it because I was expecting so many calls back, and I was expecting some PT clients, and this was just a class. I was like, yeah, okay, let's do it. And then that one leaflet drop and that one client turned into a class that I taught for maybe 5 years every Monday, and I probably got maybe 40 clients off the back of it because I was teaching the clients loved the classes, so then they'd come for PT. And I think that's a really good message to get across, is that you might have an opinion, or you might have a thought of how things are going to go, and then it didn't go to plan at all. I thought I was going to get, like I said, lots of calls from it. And a part of me, when they rang up, the part of me was thinking, oh, I'm going to say no because this is never going to take off. But then 5 years later, that one call I got gave me 30 odd clients and a class that I taught for 5 years. So yeah, you've got to take every chance that you can get, and you've got to roll with all the punches. And if you have a slight sort of edge into a career you want to go into, just take it and run with it, because you never know where it may lead. And yeah, over the years, got really busy. I was doing lots of PTs. I was doing probably 7 PTs a day in the studio. And I remember every time I went back into the gym to teach a class, Mark would be like, "Oh, how's it going?" I was like, "Oh, mate, I'm absolutely stacked out. I'm busier than I was at the gym." And you could see there was a bit of like, he hated it a little bit. Like, he didn't want to show it, but he kind of resented that you kind of went on here and you did a success of yourself. Yeah. So I did that for maybe 4 or 5 years. And then, again, I think it's just the business side of me and what I've taken from my dad. I always knew that being a PT, you can only make money if you're working. You can never make more in the hour unless you do a couple of, like, if you train 3 people at once, you can maybe charge a little bit more, but it's always reliant on me being there, and I'm limited to that hour wage. So then I went to a sports hall to do a class, and it was absolutely packed. And I was thinking, right, I'm going to rent a sports hall and just do classes. So I changed the name of the fitness box. I opened a company called Be Fitter, and we were like clash specialists sort of thing. So I started off with one class on the Monday with those women. They're like sort of village women, like mums, and they like love the training. And then I started another one on Tuesday night. And my vision was to do a class every night, and people pay a membership, and they can, instead of going to a gym, they pay me a membership and just do the classes. They get a lot better workout in the hour and try and build like a real big community. And I changed all my design, went to Be Fitter. Obviously the Monday class was always busy because I've been doing it for a while. Advertised again around different local areas saying I'm starting some classes. Got all the people that I knew to try and come to the class. It didn't look empty. Really excited. Tuesday night, rocked up. No one turned up. I remember waiting like the whole hour and no one rocked up. I was like, oh, okay, this is not cool. So I came back the next week, again, turned up. Probably had one person turn up. And then it was like that for probably a couple of weeks, just 1 or 2 people. Again, I was trying to get all my friends to turn up, so it just looked a little bit busier. And then probably 6 months later, I couldn't cram any more people into that studio than I was trying to. So the studio was rammed. It probably could fit 30 people in, and I was like 35 squeezing them in. And again, it's just that perseverance of, it's not always going to start out like happy days. You're going to have to work with it. You're going to have to graft. And it was super busy. So I'm like, right, I'm going to start another class. So then I put another one on Thursday evening. Same thing. That was a little bit busy at the start because I had people who wanted to do the Tuesday and they wanted to do Thursday. So now I was already getting people into the mentality of, instead of going to the gym, just come to these classes and then you'll be fit and you'll enjoy the training a little bit more. And then we did another one on Saturday morning, then we did another one Saturday afternoon, then we did one on Wednesday. So eventually we had a class every night, and then the classes were getting 50, 55 people in. They were absolutely rammed, and people were paying a membership. And it was such a great period of my life because it was like a massive community. And this was before I found CrossFit, and I didn't really know the style of training I was doing was pretty much CrossFit training, and it was the CrossFit community and that sort of aspect. And people would rock up at the class for 6 o'clock, but they wouldn't leave till like 8, because we'd do the hours training and then we'd be messing around, we'd just be chatting. It was people's like social aspect. So we must have had about, at the peak, probably about 180 people, like all paying like a membership to come to the classes. And yeah, really good busy time, and we're known in Leicester for being the best at classes, and people tried to copy the style we were doing. And then I got a guy called Wayne on board who helped instruct the classes, and then my sister got involved. And again, really great time. And I was probably about 23 at the time, and I always had a dream of opening my own gym. So I was like, I love what I'm doing, but I'm still lugging around all these kettlebells and all this kit from place to place. Like, I'm wasting petrol money. I don't want to drive a big van anymore. And I was like, right, I want to pull this all together, have our class community in the gym, but then also offer machines and other aspects that gym offer. So we had a Vesta come on board, and then when I was 24, we opened Be Fit a Gym. So this was a massive like life goal tick that I wanted to open my own gym. And it was the hardest 3 years probably of my life. It didn't go to plan at all. Running a commercial gym is so much effort, and it's so much constantly trying to get members in, members moving from gym to gym. And it went from like a really nice community of like 160, 180 people who loved the classes, all knew each other, to a gym of maybe 400 people in our peak. and we kind of lost the community aspect because I couldn't be so involved with the classes. I couldn't be so involved with all the members because I was trying to run a gym, trying to get more people in, make sure the gym was clean. And we were a really busy gym, so people thought we were raking in, but the overheads were too high, business rates were too high. And I think if people don't own or run a business, they can't see the hidden costs that are behind what it takes to run certain businesses. And I was working kind of 12 hours. We'd get in at 6 in the morning, do so many PTs, teach loads of classes. I was starting to get into CrossFit, so I was trying to train like a professional CrossFit athlete and do 3 hours a day. And we were just there all day, and then we'd leave at 10, and we're literally doing that every week. And we were hardly getting paid anything because all my PT money was going back into the gym to try and keep that going. And after 3 years, me and my sister were chatting, and we're like, we can't just keep doing this. Like, we're working ridiculous hours and getting paid nothing. I want to eventually get in more into CrossFit, and I can't do it working this many hours. We kind of had not a big fallout, but when business didn't go well, if you go in business with friends, obviously it doesn't always end well. So it was a shame. Obviously, me and my sister are really close, so we would never fall out. But the other two business partners that we kind of ran that business for, and were really close for 6 years, went our separate ways. And yeah, we closed the gym in 2017. So that was like a real big setback for me. And it was the first time where I'd ever had vision, had a goal, achieved it, and it not work out. I've always had a goal, achieved it, and it's done alright, and it's been successful. And this is the first time I've been like flipping out. Like I dreamt of having a gym, being a gym owner, achieved it, and then it sucked and didn't make any money.
Have you heard of a guy called Dr. Joe Dispenza?
No.
You would love him if you enjoyed the Tony Robbins and all that stuff. Like
Yeah.
you would love him. He talks about a process of visualization where you set goals and you feel how it feels to be there already.
Yeah.
But the key thing is, which a lot of people make the mistake of doing, is you don't visualize the how. You don't ask how.
Yeah.
So you visualize it. You feel like what it would be like to be there emotionally. You don't ask the how.
Yeah.
So that just came up for me so much as I was hearing your story. So you did the leaflets. You would never have thought that what it would have led to is 5 years doing a class on a Monday night somewhere, and then another 40 clients because of that. Like in your mind, it was like, I'll do the leaflets, I'll get 40 clients from
immediately. Yeah.
So I just think that's such a big thing. Like people who are setting goals and trying to achieve things, who are on the journey, don't ask how, because we're trying to control it all. We're trying to like say, you know, and what actually happens is we start resisting other ways for these things to come into our life.
Yeah.
And you just summed it up perfectly there with your journey, man. It's amazing to hear.
Yeah, and I think that's what a lot of people who know me well, like my best friend, he always says he admires how if I got a goal, I just go for it, and then I work out along the way how I'm doing it, or if I need to adjust. Or whereas he's very much like he wants a goal, but he thinks so much about all the stuff that could go wrong. He never ends up going for it because he's so scared of. Cause he's just outthought himself. Whereas I'm very much like, right, if I've got a goal, I want to go for it. I'm gonna go for it. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. If it does, great. If it doesn't, what can I do along the way to change to get it back on track? And
how would you explain that? Because the first person you mentioned, that's like a fear pattern, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like overthinking things, panicking, worrying, and then ultimately inaction. You won't do anything. What's is it being open-minded? Like, what is that kind of view?
I think it's definitely how you're made up, and it's definitely something you can work on as a mindset. But I think just from being surrounded by my parents, so their background. So my dad's from Guyana in South America. He moved over when he was 11. Didn't come from money, nothing at all. My mum grew up in an area, New Parks, which is probably one of the roughest areas in Leicestershire. So both had nothing. Both came up in a period where racism was massive at that time. So my dad's black, my mum's white. Even my dad and my mum's parents didn't want them together because they didn't think that was the thing to do, and it wasn't the done thing to do back then, like kind of 50 odd years ago, probably 6 years ago now. And they've been together since they were 13, and they kept their relationship hidden from their parents and as many people as they could for probably years and years and years, because it just wasn't the done thing to do. and my dad came up at a time where there were lots of racial attacks on him constantly and things like that. So they've come up from like a very harsh upbringing, and then none of them had any sort of idea about business. Didn't left school at like 15, and the house we grew up in was a massive house. It's probably 6-bed house, and it always amazed me because my parents are like my biggest role models, and they bought that house when they were 21. And like, it's a massive house. I always think, how the hell did you came from nothing, you moved over when you were 11, you went through so much racial abuse, you didn't have any, like, great schooling, how did you get this house at 21? He's like, well, we just started a business when we were 17 or 18, I think it was. Tried to scrape as much loan as they could from wherever they could, and then they went into textiles and eventually had about 8 different clothing shops in their heyday. And all just from scratch. It was all just from my dad and my mum's determination to make something of themselves. So I think just being surrounded that and having their mentality and them bringing us up in that environment every day, that's just led to me not being fearful about chasing your dreams or chasing your goals.
So that hardened you, seeing that?
Yeah, definitely.
Did you see it, or was it you just hearing them tell their story?
At the time, I didn't really know what I was taking in, but obviously it all resonates with you without you even knowing. So it's just that mentality of my dad working very hard, having to work extra hard because he is a black guy in that era trying to get into business. A lot of people didn't want to see him succeed, so he had to go through a lot of rubbish to try and get to where he was. He had to work extra hard and harder than anyone else. Not anyone else, but he had to work a lot harder than a lot of people, just because racism was just so rife at that sort of time.
You set a great example as far as work ethic and facing adversity.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's just built inside me, without me even having to think about it, if that makes sense.
Do you think that's built inside you as like nature, like the DNA side, or the nurture, like what you heard from
a mixture of both? I think I've definitely got a lot of my dad's qualities, and he's definitely got exactly the same qualities that I have, but then also being in the environment. So I could have been brought up by my parents, but then if they put me in a different environment from the age of 5, I could have been a very different person, even though I've still got that DNA from my dad, if that makes sense. So you could be born a certain way, but if you're brought up in a different way, then it's going to change your path as you grow up. So
it's funny, mate. My dad gave me the book The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari by a guy called Robin Sharma, which is another great personal development book. My dad's a coach as well.
Yeah.
And the other day I was unpacking a box in my house because I've just been lazy unpacking stuff, but I found this little extract that I wrote myself, which was literally like I could have written it to myself today.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I was like, I've been on this personal development journey for like 5-6 years. It's like, no, I've been reading and talking about that stuff for like 20 years, but you forget because your parents kind of pass this stuff onto you and you just absorb it.
Yeah.
You didn't realise that it's kind of been there the whole time.
Yeah.
What would you say to people who haven't had the kind of upbringing that you've had, where your mindset has been shaped from a young age? Like, what can they do to change?
Yeah, you definitely don't have to be in that environment to want to change. It's just about, I always love people to goal set. So if you want to improve your surroundings, first of all, obviously like reading books and podcasts is a really good way to do it. But then also surround yourself with people who want the same outcome and same journey. So if you're a really positive person, but then you surround yourself with 5 close friends who are all super negative, it's really tough to try and get out of that sort of negativity when you're kind of surrounded by people who are just saying negative things the whole time. You've got to put yourself and surround yourself with people who want the same from life and who are all ambitious and all are on the same path, because that's such a big impactful thing, I think, on people's personality and mindset, is the people they surround themselves with. So I would definitely say, look at the people you surround yourself and try and surround yourself with people who are further or more advanced in life than you are. So my dad's got a saying, I think about it, make sure you get it right: if you're the smartest in the room, you're in the wrong room. And he loves that quote all the time, and I think that's something that I've always tried to take on board. Is I've always want to be surrounded by people who are doing better than me, or who have done better than me and more successful than me, because then that's going to make me grow and make me more ambitious. And that's definitely something that I'd recommend to people, is try and surround yourself with people who are more advanced in life, and because that's only going to help you.
It's also exciting. There's another quote I say all the time, so listeners, apologies for saying it again, but you can't be what you can't see.
Yeah.
So when you get into those rooms and you're with people who are doing things that are far outside your imagination, you're like, wow,
Yeah,
like,
it's
this is
opened your
available.
open, like you wouldn't think things are possible, but then you see people doing it, like, oh my god, it is possible. Then you kind of aim higher, don't you?
Yeah, it's also massive for the ego, I think, because
Yeah.
when you are the smartest in the room, it's just like strokes your ego, makes you feel
Yeah.
good and you're comfortable.
Yeah.
But when you're not the smartest in the room, it's out of your comfort zone. They might be talking about stuff you don't really understand.
Yeah,
and you're
yeah.
thinking shit, like, but just absorb that.
Yeah, it's like in the gym. Obviously, I'm the best athlete in the gym because it's my full-time job, but when we have different people to come train, I absolutely love it. So there's certain, because I'm a big dude in CrossFit, I'm at 100 kilos, 6 foot. So the average CrossFit is probably 5'10", sort of 90 kilos. And if you're taller in CrossFit, most things are harder for you because your limbs are longer, so things just take longer. So if you've got someone who's a lot shorter, doing a press-up's quicker, doing a handstand press is quicker, doing burpees is faster, you squat quicker. And so when I get people coming to gym, and say if I get a guy who he's like perfect size for CrossFit, quite small, quite compact. There's an exercise that stopped me getting to the games in 2019 is handstand press-ups. So in 2019 Open, out of the 5 workouts, I think it was like first, second, first, and then in one workout I came 168th. So that one workout cost me getting to the games.
So that's like when you were saying before, across 5 weeks.
Yeah, so 5 weeks, I was first, second, first, third, I think it was, and then 168th. So that one workout cost me getting to the games in 2019. And it was strict handstand press-ups. So I just didn't do many of them at the time. It was the first time CrossFit had put them in the Open. And just because I'd just not practiced them, I was just really bad at them, to be honest. And I worked a lot over the last couple of years to get better at strict handstand press-ups. So when someone comes in to train, they might just be visiting the gym and they look good CrossFitter, they're quite small. I purposely put a workout that they could beat me at, or like a workout with loads of strict handstand press-ups, because I want to test myself against him to see how much better I've got. And he may beat me, I may beat him, but I just love that because I can test myself and see how much I've grown or how much I still need to work on them. So it's the same sort of scenario really, just making sure you surround yourself with people who are better than you.
That's a really interesting perspective on competition as well.
Yeah.
Where do you fare against the likes of, I don't know, is Matt Fraser still like the number one?
Yes, he's number one. He the most dominant guy in our sport.
Yeah.
So he won CrossFit Games 5 years back to back. So I've only competed against him in the Open. You compete against him. So last year I was 25th in the Open worldwide. I think he was like
25th, so 25th in the world.
Yeah. I think there's probably about 250,000 people, and then I was first in the UK. So yeah, I'm not really competing against him too often, to be honest.
Would you look at someone like that to compare, or because like there's people say run your own race and stay in your lane and all that stuff, which is great, and you compete against yourself, but there is an element of course in sport where you're competing against other people.
Yeah,
so
like, I'm never too keen on just. I'm very aware where everyone is when I'm competing, because you've got to be, because you could just be doing your thing and you're just too slow. So like, what's the point in just doing your own thing in that workout, but then you're 10th? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? If you could have pushed harder, then you've got to be aware and know what people are doing. So yeah, I'm always very conscious about what people are doing, and when I'm doing a workout, I'm always not like looking around dramatically, but I'm always keeping my eyes on, see where people are making a move, see what their pace is like, because you can judge off them, and you can flip it. So if I'm way ahead in a workout and I'm not aware of what everyone else is doing, I'm still could just be going full speed ahead, absolutely battering myself for no reason. Whereas if you're kind of aware where everyone is and you're like, right, I'm 20 seconds ahead of everyone, I'm going to chill out a little bit, and that could save you energy for the later workouts that you might have in that competition. Yeah. So yeah, you've got to be aware of what everyone else is doing, but don't let that affect you. So in the flip side, if I'm watching Matt Fraser and he's shooting off, you've got to be confident and know your body enough to know like that's not my game plan. Like, let him do that. Like, if I did that, I'm just going to burn out. So you've still got to know your limits, and you still got to do the workouts within your own limits, but you've got to be aware of what everyone else is doing.
Self-awareness.
Yeah, definitely.
So big. Again, like not just in the gym, like
everywhere. Yeah.
So sorry, I didn't want to cut you off, because I think I know where you're going with this, and it's really important, where you said that there was a particular exercise that meant that you didn't qualify. Yeah. And I know that you then went on to be able to do that and be really good at that particular exercise.
Yeah, so it was 2019 where that was probably one of the hardest like that's probably the hardest point in my CrossFit career, I think, was I qualified for regionals in 2018. So again, not going into it too much, but the format was different again in 2018. So you'd have to be the top 40 in the Open in Europe, and then you'd qualify to get to regionals, which was a live competition in Berlin. So if you made regionals, you were really seen as like a really good athlete, and then that was the next stage to the games. So I qualified for regionals, which was a big event for me in 2018, and then going into 2019, a lot of people were expecting me, or they knew it was either going to be me or Elliot to win the UK spot. And in 2019, that's when they changed the rules, where if you won the UK spot, you could automatically qualify for the games. So there's a lot of like talk about me and Elliot, which of us two are going to win the Open and get qualified for the games. So first workout came out, and I think I was third, second workout I came first. I think third workout I came first again. So me and Elliot were just back and forward, top and first and second position. And a lot of people around me like, right, like, this is your chance, you're going to do it, you're going to get to the games. This is going to be like a 6-year dream of you qualifying. And then workout 4 came out, strict handstand press-ups, and I thought, oh, I've never really done them, but I think I'm all right at them. Did it on the Friday, and I was like, I remember Harmy, the guy with the hat who we trained with, I remember his face, like, he didn't want to say, but I came really low in that workout. And people who just come to the gym like maybe twice a week just for a friendly like banter and just doing some CrossFit, they were beating me, because the workout, how it was formatted, he did 200-foot lunges, so anyone can do that. Then it was 50 box step ups with a dumbbell, so again anyone can do that. Then it was 50 strict handstand press ups, and then 200-foot handstand walk. So because everyone was getting to the handstand press-ups at the same time, because everyone was lunging the same sort of pace, everyone was box stepping the same sort of pace, it wasn't like you had 20 ring muscle-ups where you'd separate the good athletes between your average Joe. Like, everyone was getting to the wall at the same time, and then just small athletes were just beating me. Like, I remember like looking, and this guy from our gym just like loves coming CrossFit 3 times a week. He was finished before me. I'm like, what? Like, I'm a professional athlete. This guy's just like does it for fun, and he's ahead of me in this workout. And then it finished. I didn't get through the 50 handstand press-ups, and so I think it took me 5.5 minutes to complete 50. I didn't even get the handstand walk. It was a 10-minute time cap, so I just finished the 50 in that time cap, and then people were finishing the 200-foot handstand walk in the same time. So I remember saying to Harmy, like, man, like, we're in trouble here, because I am way off the pace for this, and I can't just develop the strength. Like, I can't do these. He was like, right, come on, we've got to do it again. So we did that workout 5 times over the 3 days, just to try and beat my score. And every time I did it, I got a worse score. So I did it again on the Saturday, got a worse score. I was like, oh man, all right, we've got to try something else. Did it Saturday evening, worse score again. I was like, what am I going to do? Like, I'll do it again tomorrow. I was like, no, we need a rest, because you're just battering yourself. Rested Sunday, did it again Monday morning, worse score. Did it again Monday evening, worse score. And I remember, like, obviously everyone knew around me that was my, like, the games is gone now. And yeah, that was a very like tough time, because I could feel like my game spot slipping away. And that was actually week 3, so I was third on week 1, first week 2, and then 168th on week 3. And yeah, the games dream had gone. And I remember, like, I was really gutted for the first like couple of days. And then I was like, right, after I had like a proper sulk for 3 days, not training, eating, whatever I wanted, I said to myself, right, I'm going to smash these last 2 workouts and prove to whoever wins the UK #1 spot, they've only won it because I couldn't do strict handstand press-ups. And then week 4 I came first, week 5 I came second. And I remember Elliot's a really nice guy, really humble. He's been to the games 3 times. He messaged me, he's like joking, saying, thank God you can't do strict handstand press-ups. So people knew, like, I only didn't win because of like literally one movement, and I was quite proud of myself on that, because it would have been very easy just to quit the Open, or like say, oh, I'm injured, or just sack it off basically, because what's the point now? But yeah, I felt quite proud, because I came back and showed to everyone that it was literally just that one movement that cost me the spot.
Amazing, mate. And how many can you do now?
So 50 back then took me 5.5 minutes, and now my 50 times now 1 minute 27.
Wow.
So it's, what's that, like 4 minutes off.
But how long did it take you to get to that point?
19, 20, 2.5 years.
People don't see that. They see a reel
Yeah.
on Instagram or a post on Instagram,
Yeah.
and they think you can do it in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Or,
So I'd done them 4 times a week for 2.5 years pretty much. And it gets to the point where like people are like, so are we doing handstand press again? I was like, you don't have to do them. Like, I'll do them. Like, you can finish now, but I'm doing these because I want to get better at them. And now like I remember like some athletes that come. So I remember Jamie Lowry, the guy who trains us at the gym. He'll be a really good athlete. He's only about 22. Really small athlete. He was good at strict handstand press up. So he came back from uni after about a year. I was like, right, Jamie, we're doing this handstand press up workout, and it was 50 strict, 200 handstand walk, 25 strict. And he was like, all right, I'm gonna kick your ass, like, and I beat him by like 2 minutes. And he was like, what the hell have you done like the last 2 years? And I was literally just hammered them. And like so many people ask me like, what have you done to get so much better? I'm like, I do this and this and this 4 times a week. And I was like, what, is that it? And it was like, yeah, there's no magic trick. I've just done it that often for that long. And it just proves that you can get better at any exercise. It just takes a long time.
it's amazing. Or any skill for that matter.
Yeah.
Like, the message is so strong because I think we all live in this world of expectation.
Yeah, you want everything instantly, yeah.
Yeah, it's just not the reality. Like,
No,
you
yeah.
have to grow up. Excuse me, you have to grow up, you've got to work, you've got to learn how to do these things properly. Like,
Yeah.
I've basically given myself like 2 years to get everything sorted in this business.
Yeah.
Yes, part of me wants it to be working now.
Yeah.
But that's not actually the fun bit.
No, yeah,
2 years ago, awesome.
Yeah, the journey. Yeah.
I've got notes on my wall like everything's a lesson. This is a 2-year scholarship that I've given myself.
Yeah.
Which remind me, because and these are the things that literally like everything. So even our example, right? It cancelled. I could have been like, I put an hour in my diary for this. I was just like, it's brilliant. I get an hour back. I'm going to do this. And then I saw you the day after.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a way better experience.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? Yeah.
These things happen all the time.
Yeah.
So how would you describe a peak performing CrossFitter? Like, what are the qualities and traits of someone who's really good at CrossFit?
Extremely determined. I think if anyone comes from a different sport, so like if you have a footballer or a rugby player or a tennis player come in, they're just like shocked of how much pain we put ourselves in every single day. And like today's sessions were, say if like a scale of 1 to 10, and
Don't say it's easy.
a 10 is like when we're in the most pain, like the most painful sessions we do. Today was probably a 4. So I was nowhere near, like, weren't in really much pain. It was just like muscle fatigue. Whereas if we do a session on like a Monday morning, like we're literally on the floor after for like a couple of minutes. So yeah, today's session was pretty like easy pain wise. But when they see like that much effort in, and we class as like an easy session, like the sessions that we put ourselves in a hole, like to do that every single day, you've got to be pretty resilient, determined, and you've got to be extremely persistent, because when you start CrossFit, there's so many skills you've got to learn. So within gymnastics, you've got to be able to handstand walk up ramps, handstand press ups, ring muscle ups, bar muscle ups, toes to bar, and then weightlifting, you've got to get the mobility, then you've got to get the technique, then the strength to Olympic lift and snatch, clean and jerk, all the different hang snatch, hang clean. Then you've got to get like your basic compound movements strong. You've got to get your back squat strong, your deadlift strong. Then you've got to be good at running. You've got to be good at swimming. You've got to be good at cycling. Like there's a lot of stuff you've got to be good at. So if anyone comes in and they're just like, right, I want to get to the games next year, like you've got no chance, because you've got to be so determined, and you've got to be in the game a long time to learn that many skills and get that good at so many different skills.
Which is why you have the title of UK's fittest man.
Yeah.
Because it's like,
literally everything.
I've often thought that the boxers that I sit down with are the fittest, but I think you'll be rivaling them all.
It's tough, because if you put a boxer in our world, they'll die. If you put us in a boxer's world, we'll die. Yeah. So it's tough, because the boxer's extremely fit for their sport. But I think why we get the title is because we're the sport that does so many different aspects of sport. Yeah. So a boxer would be fit for boxing, but we wouldn't be fit for boxing, or it transfer over quite well, but we wouldn't have the shoulder endurance or the technique for a boxer. But we've got the fitness for swimming, running. We can Olympic weightlift. We can do gymnastics. So we've probably got the broadest cross of different fitnesses for different aspects, more than any other sport, I'd say. So that's probably why we get classed as.
How do you turn off the voice in your head that tells you to stop or tells you to give in? Or because I think everyone has that in some capacity in everything they do.
Yeah, I think if any athlete says they're motivated every single day, like I find that hard to believe, because there's days where I come in and I can't be asked to train, and it's just, you're always going to get that. You're never going to be on it 100% every single day. Like, the human body's just not built for that. I'm motivated 90% of the time. I'm extremely determined and militant if I'm in a certain rhythm, but if you take me on holiday, within a week, I won't train. I'll be eating donuts every day. Like, I can very easily flip from being extremely determined in my routine to then going on a holiday and not training and just eating all sorts of rubbish. So for me, like, routine's really important for me. And I think the days where I don't feel motivated, like, if you walk into that gym, it's hard not to get geared up from all the people around you. So there's days where I come in, I'm like, oh, Harmy, I can't bother today. Like, I'm just going to put an easy session on. And they're like, no, come on, like, put your session on and we'll all get through it together. And then the music's blaring, you've got 15 people around you all doing the same thing. And then by the end of it, I'm like absolutely buzzing. I'm glad I did it. So yeah, I think it's really important to surround yourself with motivating people and people who want to see you succeed and see you reach your goal. That's probably one of the most important aspects for me in keeping my motivation. And then also just looking back on how far I've come and like the 7 years of hard work you've put in, it's never really an option for me to quit or to give in or to have a setback and then not carry on. It's just like the injury. It's like, oh, I've got injured. I'm going to turn this year into a positive situation for work, and then I'll go for it next year. They're like, there's no second thought or anything that I'm going to stop until I get to the games. It's just, oh, I've had this hurdle, I'll get over it, and then I'm straight back on course. And I think that's just built into me. I never second guess myself. I'm always very confident in myself and that I'm going to achieve my goal. And then if something happens along the way, then I just deviate and change the plan. But it's still always working towards that same goal. So yeah, extremely motivated. But then there are days where I rely on other people to get me through the sessions. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I was just kind of in my head, I was like, right, I did a 10-second countdown. I was like, I'll be there in 10 seconds. And it took 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, come on. Mate, it's been amazing. I've loved it. We do the same 3 questions at the end of every episode. Quick fire questions. One thing you've discovered or come across recently that you're excited about?
Ooh, one thing I've discovered recently.
Or anything you're just excited about at the moment.
So, probably say 2 things. One's a new business venture that I'm going to start that I won't go into too much, no, but it's to do with electrical charge points and things like that, because I just bought an electric car. So I'm always looking for like different business opportunities that I can try and get into.
Is that you as an investor, or are you going to drive the business?
Drive the business, yeah. Well, no, it kind of partnered with, there's an electrician that I know, and it was originally, he wanted to get into it, and he kind of came to me for some help to look for some like design work and things like that. And then he just kind of said, do you want to do it with me? So potentially that. And then my hip injury has pretty much cleared up. Hopefully, I've had kind of 3 days of no injury pain in my hip, so that's a massive win for me.
Amazing, mate. Well, you look good today, man. I have to say.
That's probably my biggest thing is that my hip's feeling good.
Yeah. Well, half the time you're spent on your hands, so maybe that's
yeah.
One habit or routine you'd ask all listeners to incorporate into their day?
I would, it's something I do, and it's a little routine that I find really good for myself. When I'm in the shower in the morning, I use that as my time to think about my day, think about what I'm going to do. So for me, it's very orientated around my training. So I'm thinking about what are my training sessions, what do I want to get out of them, and what are my strategies for them. But that could be applied to anyone's job. What jobs do they got to do for today? How do they want to perform them? And then in the evening, my evening shower, I think about how my training went, what I'm happy with, what I wasn't happy with, how's my body feeling, what can I change to make tomorrow better. And yeah, if they could apply that to your own life, that's a really big tool that I found helpful.
Yeah, amazing. You do it every day in the morning?
Yeah, and evening, yeah.
Yeah, okay, awesome. The last question, one trait within you that's allowed you to get to where you are. If you had to narrow it down, you had to pick one, what would it be?
I had to pick one. If I had to pick one, it would be resilience.
Yeah.
Yeah, coming back from, and I always doing a good example. Like I said, I never really second guess myself. If it doesn't work, I try and work out why it didn't work, but it didn't stop me from still trying to achieve the goal. So, for instance, that first gym that opened, it was a fun 3 years of my life, but it was probably horrendous because the amount of work we're doing. It was my first business failure, and when we shut that gym, a lot of people could have been like, right, I'm just going to go back to PT because I made decent money there. I knew what I'm doing. It can't really go wrong. But I think 4 weeks later, I opened this gym. So it's like it didn't work. It was 3 years of a lot of graft for getting no reward. But I've learnt a lot. I know what I did wrong. So I'm just not going to make those mistakes again. And then we opened this place. So again, that's just being resilient and not being fearful and learning from your mistakes and make sure you don't make them again.
And the place is amazing, mate. Thanks again for having me.
Yeah, anytime, mate.
You got to go now, haven't you?
Yes, mate. Yeah.
Yeah. There's one more question.
Go. Yeah, go for it. Yeah. One more
I'll
question.
kick myself in the car if I didn't ask.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to ask, how important was it for you to do that introspection, that self-reflection? Because what stood out to me was, when you spoke about your mum and saying like, she thought that I was perfect and anything was right. Like, how important was it for you to go back and look at your upbringing and look at that in order to perform and be the person that you are today? And even tangible things like, what did you actually do to look at that? Is it just literally giving time to think about it, or?
Yeah, I think when I look back, a lot of people who know me when I was younger and didn't know what I do now, they've always expected me just to be a giant overweight kid because that's how everyone saw me and my path. And I just look back and look at the things I was doing that I didn't know I was doing, if that makes sense. So like with the PlayStation 2, I was pretty much goal setting and then putting a time frame on it, working towards that goal, achieving it, getting a reward, and then goal setting again. So I think it's just looking back and just realising now as I'm older, the stuff I was doing when I was younger that I didn't know I was doing that helped me on my path and helped me on my journey. And I always goal set. Like I've always had like gold boards since the age of maybe 14, and I've kept them all. So that's something that I really like to look back on because I've got gold boards, and for every year I'll write different goals on there. And it's great to look back on like a goal when I first started CrossFit in 2013. I wanted to naively get to the games the next year, and it's easy stuff you could think about. Like if I hadn't kept those boards, I wouldn't have remembered that. And yeah, because when you get into CrossFit, it's really easy. It's like, I'm going to get to the games. Like people think it's easy. So I wrote, right, starting CrossFit 2013, CrossFit Games 2014. And I look back and like, I achieved it in 2020. So like 6 years after I like originally wanted to do it. And I think it's just really good to look back on those years and look back on the goals you set and just to analyse and assess how long they actually took to complete and how I thought I'd achieve it in a year, but it actually took 7 years. And I think it's just really good, like, realisation and kind of humbling to know that I stuck with that goal for that long. When I thought it was going to take a year, I actually stuck with it for 7 years. And there's sort of things you could easily forget if you didn't have those things written down.
So good, mate. Because in my mind, it's a really good perspective again, because in my mind, it's like, it's good the other way as well, when you have achieved them and you take it for granted at some stage. And then you look back and go, oh, I said that as a goal like 5 years ago, and then it happened 2 years ago, whatever.
Yeah.
But like that's it. That's almost even better to go. Yeah, do you know what? I set that goal, didn't achieve it then, but I've stuck with it until now.
Yeah,
mate, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you, mate.
Thanks
It's
so much,
been
man.
awesome talking. Time's gone quick.
It has, I know. No, I really enjoyed it. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
All right, cheers.
Cheers, bro.